Zscaler operates as a comprehensive cloud-based cybersecurity platform that routes internet traffic through its distributed global network of data centers. It employs a four-step process to verify identity, identify connection destinations, assess risk using AI, and enforce security policies in real time. This comprehensive approach, which includes a zero trust architecture, cloud-native design, and the ability to secure users and applications without traditional hardware-based security appliances, ensures that all aspects of your organization's security are covered. Thank you for tuning into your SASE Gateway YouTube channel. Subscribe if you want more straightforward content like this about SASE and cybersecurity topics. The Zero Trust Exchange, or ZTNA Architecture, is a game changer, representing a shift from traditional perimeter-based security to a cloud-native platform built on zero trust principles. Unlike conventional network security, which assumes everything inside the perimeter is trustworthy, ZTNA operates on the principle of least privileged access, establishing trust based on four contextual elements: user identity, device, application, and content. This approach significantly enhances security by eliminating the need for blind trust. At its core, the ZTNA functions as a security switchboard in the cloud, creating secure direct connections between entities and applications without exposing them to the internet. This architecture follows a systematic approach. First, identity verification, where the platform authenticates the identity of users, devices, or workloads through integrations with third-party identity providers. Next, destination determination, as the system identifies and validates the requested destination, whether it's a web page, a SaaS application, or a private resource. Third, risk assessment, utilizing AI-powered analytics, where the platform assesses risk based on multiple contextual factors, including user behavior, device posture, and content, processing over 500 trillion signals every single day. Finally, policy enforcement, where based on the gathered intelligence, ZTNA enforces security policies in real time for each connection request, determining whether to grant access, block, isolate, or take other appropriate actions. The architecture's proxy-based design enables full TLS and SSL inspection at scale, allowing for comprehensive threat prevention and data protection. By terminating each connection and inspecting all traffic, including encrypted content, ZTNA can block threats in real time before they reach their targets. A key architectural advantage is how ZTNA eliminates the attack surface. Applications remain invisible to the internet, with the platform brokering one-to-one connections between authorized entities and specific applications, rather than directly to the network itself. This approach prevents lateral movement of threats, which is a critical factor in containing breaches and stopping the propagation of ransomware. For branch offices in remote locations, ZTNA offers flexible deployment options. Organizations can either leverage existing customer premises equipment with GRE or IPsec tunnels, or deploy Zscaler connectors that establish outbound connections to the cloud, eliminating the need for vulnerable VPN infrastructure that requires constant patching. The architecture's scalability comes from its cloud-native foundation, powered by a globally distributed security cloud that processes over 200 billion daily transactions. This distributed approach ensures that users always connect to the nearest point of presence, minimizing latency while maintaining security. Recent enhancements to the ZTNA architecture have expanded its capabilities to provide end-to-end segmentation between and within branches, while strengthening security across multi-cloud environments, making the platform increasingly versatile for today's complex IT ecosystems. Cloud-native security represents a fundamental shift from traditional security approaches, focusing on protecting applications built and deployed specifically for cloud environments. Unlike conventional security models that rely primarily on network-based protections, cloud-native security emphasizes an application-focused approach that integrates security throughout the entire software lifecycle, from development to deployment to runtime. The cornerstone of cloud-native security is the 4Cs framework, which provides a defense-in-depth approach through 4 distinct but interconnected layers. The first is the cloud layer, which serves as the foundation of the security model and includes the underlying cloud infrastructure. Security at this level involves implementing shared responsibility models, proper identity and access management, and robust security controls from cloud providers. Common vulnerabilities here often stem from identity and access management misconfigurations, like improperly set permission and overly permissive role. The second is the cluster layer, which focuses on the Kubernetes infrastructure that orchestrates containers. Key security concerns include misconfigured network policies, inadequate access control, and insecure communication channels. Protection strategies involve enforcing secure policies, implementing the principle of least privilege, and using encrypted communication protocols to ensure data integrity. Next is the container layer, where containers package applications and dependencies, but can harbor security risks if not adequately secured. Security measures here include container scanning, minimal permissions, trusted image registries, and using the leanest possible images to minimize potential vulnerabilities. Finally, the code layer addresses the application source code with security concerns like insecure coding practices, unpatched library vulnerabilities, and inadequate access control mechanisms. Mitigation strategies involve static code analysis, vulnerability scanning, and implementing secure coding practices. Each layer builds upon the next, creating multiple defensive barriers. When one layer is compromised or misconfigured, the security of components built on top cannot be guaranteed. This hierarchical approach means that securing the base layers, cloud, cluster, and container, benefits the code layer, but not the other way around. Beyond the 4Cs framework, cloud-native security encompasses several key components. First, identity and access management, or IAM, regulates access to cloud resources according to the principle of least privilege, providing granular control over who can access specific resources and when. Next, there's network security, which involves properly configuring firewalls, ensuring appropriate traffic routing, defining strict ingress and egress rules, and implementing zero trust policies. Data protection is another crucial aspect, focusing on encrypting data both at rest and in transit, so attackers can extract value even if data is compromised. And finally, cloud security posture management, or CSPM, continuously monitors cloud environments to detect and remediate misconfigurations and compliance violations, while offering visibility across multi-cloud environments. The cloud-native security model is not a static state, but a continuous journey of improvement that involves gaining visibility into the cloud environment, identifying and remediating critical risks, adopting best practices, and shifting security left to prevent issues before they reach production. This approach embeds security into every aspect of cloud operations, creating resilient systems that can withstand modern threats while maintaining the agility and scalability benefits of cloud-native architectures. The cybersecurity risk management process is a structured, 4-step approach that forms the backbone of effective security strategies in SASE environments. This methodical framework enables organizations to address cyber threats while maintaining operational efficiency in a systematic manner. The 4 steps include risk identification, risk assessment, risk mitigation, and risk monitoring and review. The first critical step involves recognizing and cataloging potential vulnerabilities across your digital ecosystem. This process begins with a comprehensive inventory of information assets, including hardware, software, services, networks, and human resources that cyber criminals could target. A thorough risk identification phase requires conducting vulnerability assessments to expose weaknesses in systems and applications, classifying assets based on their importance and sensitivity to the organization, considering both internal factors, such as configuration issues and external threats, and documenting all potential attack vectors that could compromise security. This foundational step creates visibility into the organization's risk landscape, establishing a baseline for subsequent analysis and mitigation efforts. Once risks are identified, they must be evaluated to determine their potential impact and likelihood of occurrence. This analytical phase involves estimating the financial, operational, and reputational consequences of each identified risk, determining the probability of threats exploiting specific vulnerabilities, prioritizing risks based on their significance to the organization's operations, and conducting impact analyses to quantify potential costs and business disruptions. Risk assessment transforms abstract threats into measurable business concerns, allowing security teams to focus resources where they'll have the most significant protective effect. This step often leverages frameworks like NIST SP 830, which provides structured guidance for federal information systems, but serves as a valuable model for private organizations as well. After prioritizing risks, organizations must implement appropriate controls and strategies to address them. The mitigation phase includes developing tailored strategies to reduce identified risks based on their severity and business impact, implementing technical controls, policies, and procedures to minimize vulnerabilities, and selecting appropriate risk treatments, which may include risk acceptance, avoidance, transfer, or reduction. It's also important to enforce cybersecurity policies that align with the organization's risk appetite and business objectives. Effective mitigation doesn't necessarily mean eliminating all risks. Instead, it involves making informed decisions about which risks to address based on a cost-benefit analysis and organizational priorities. For many organizations, purchasing quality cyber insurance has become a crucial component of their risk management strategy, offering financial protection against residual risks. The final step acknowledges that cybersecurity risk management is not a one-time effort, but a continuous process that requires vigilance and adaptation. This ongoing phase involves continuously monitoring the effectiveness of implemented controls and security measures, adapting strategies to address evolving threats and changing business environments, conducting regular tabletop exercises that include executives, board members, IT departments, and PR teams, and reviewing and updating the risk management plan based on new vulnerabilities, threats, or organizational changes. Regular testing is crucial to validate what works in the plan and what needs improvement. Organizations should gather feedback from each department after testing exercises and incorporate those updates into their cybersecurity protocols. The cyclical nature of this four-step process ensures that security measures remain effective despite the constantly shifting threat landscape. By continuously identifying, assessing, mitigating, and monitoring risks, organizations can maintain a robust security posture that protects critical assets while supporting business objectives. Microsegmentation implementation requires a methodical approach that balances security needs with operational realities. Unlike traditional network segmentation, which focuses on broad perimeter defenses, microsegmentation creates granular security boundaries around individual workloads, applications, and services. This strategic approach complements Zscaler's Zero Trust Exchange architecture by extending zero trust principles to internal network communications. Successful microsegmentation deployments follow a graduated implementation strategy rather than attempting a big bang approach. Organizations should adopt a phased methodology that includes, first, starting with broad segmentation by establishing environmental boundaries between development, testing, and production environments before progressing to more granular controls. Second, gradually refining policies from application-level segmentation or ring fencing to tier-level segmentation such as web, application, and database. And finally, to process-level microsegmentation for critical assets. Third, prioritizing high-value assets by identifying and protecting the most critical systems, applications, and data first focusing security efforts where they matter most. This incremental approach prevents overwhelming security teams and allows for proper testing and validation at each stage of implementation. Before implementing microsegmentation policies, organizations must gain comprehensive visibility into their network architecture and traffic patterns. Asset discovery and mapping are essential to create an accurate inventory of all network components, applications, and their interdependencies. Traffic behavior observation helps identify legitimate communication patterns that must be preserved while blocking unnecessary pathways that attackers could exploit. Vulnerability data integration enhances segmentation strategies by highlighting which segments contain vulnerable systems requiring additional protection. As one Reddit user noted, the whole concept of microsegmentation involves isolating workloads into smaller independent segments. This isolation requires detailed knowledge of how these segments normally communicate. The core of microsegmentation lies in creating and enforcing granular security policies. Define policies based on multiple criteria, including user roles, device types, application requirements, and security levels to create context-aware access controls. Involve key stakeholders from IT, security, compliance, and business units to ensure policies align with organizational objectives while maintaining security. Apply vulnerability-based microsegmentation as a compensating control to mitigate exposure to known vulnerabilities that cannot be patched immediately. Effective policies should be both granular enough to provide meaningful security and scalable enough to accommodate network growth and evolution. Implementing microsegmentation demands appropriate resources and expertise. Assemble a dedicated project team, typically consisting of an executive sponsor, security architect, technical lead, and project manager, with vendor support when needed. Provide comprehensive training to ensure all team members understand microsegmentation concepts and implementation strategies. Recognize departmental responsibilities with the understanding that application owners may not fully comprehend microsegmentation, placing greater responsibility on networking and security staff. An executive champion is often crucial for securing necessary resources and budget, as microsegmentation initiatives frequently require significant investment in both technology and personnel. Microsegmentation should not operate in isolation, but rather integrate with existing security infrastructure. Connect with log and event management tools to monitor network traffic and detect potential policy violations or security incidents. Incorporate threat intelligence to adapt segmentation policies based on emerging threats and attack patterns. Leverage multiple deployment approaches, as most environments are not homogeneous, requiring different microsegmentation technologies for various network areas. This integration creates a comprehensive security ecosystem that enhances visibility while providing multiple layers of defense against sophisticated attacks. By following these implementation strategies, organizations can effectively deploy microsegmentation to reduce their attack surface, prevent lateral movement, and align with zero trust principles, creating a more resilient security posture that complements cloud-based security platforms like Zscaler. Identity-based access control, or IBAC, represents a fundamental security model that governs access to resources based on the verified identity of individual users or entities. Unlike traditional perimeter-based security approaches, IBAC places the user's identity at the center of access decisions, ensuring that each individual receives precisely the appropriate level of access to systems and data. IBAC operates on several key principles that differentiate it from other security frameworks. First, identity centricity. The model focuses primarily on who the user is rather than where they are connecting from, making it particularly valuable in distributed environments where traditional network boundaries have dissolved. Next, granular authorization access permissions are explicitly tailored to individual identities, allowing for precise control over who can access what resources under which circumstances. Then, dynamic policy enforcement rather than static permissions. IBAC enables context-aware access decisions that can adapt based on changing user attributes, roles, or environmental factors. And finally, attribute-based decisions. Access control policies in IBAC are defined based on attributes associated with users, resources, and the environment, enabling fine-grained control that goes beyond simple role assignments. A comprehensive IBAC system typically consists of several interconnected components. These include identity verification mechanisms, which ensure users are authenticated as who they claim to be, using methods ranging from passwords to biometrics and multi-factor authentication. Access permission frameworks are also essential. These systems associate specific permissions with verified identities, determining which resources each user can access. Centralized identity management is another key piece, providing a unified system that maintains consistent user identities and attributes across the organization, which really helps with coherent access control enforcement and, of course, policy definition and enforcement. These are the rules that determine how identity attributes translate to access decisions, along with the technical means to enforce these policies at access points. In contemporary security frameworks such as Zero Trust, IBAC serves as a foundational element. Rather than assuming trust based on network location, these architectures verify identity for each access request before granting permissions. This approach aligns perfectly with distributed work environments where users access resources from various places and devices. The implementation of IBAC provides several significant advantages. First, reduced attack surface. By limiting access based on verified identity rather than network location, organizations can minimize potential entry points for attackers. Next, improved compliance capabilities. IBAC facilitates detailed tracking of who accessed what resources and when, supporting regulatory requirements for access monitoring and auditing. Enhanced security granularity is another benefit, as organizations can implement precise security controls that match business requirements without resorting to overly permissive access policies. And finally, adaptive security posture. As user roles and responsibilities change, access permissions can be dynamically adjusted without requiring reconfiguration of the network infrastructure. IBAC represents an evolution from earlier security models that relied on perimeter defenses or broad role-based permissions. Its focus on individual identity verification and contextual access decisions makes it particularly well-suited for securing modern digital environments where traditional boundaries have become increasingly blurred. When implemented as part of a comprehensive security strategy, IBAC helps organizations maintain the delicate balance between security and accessibility, ensuring that legitimate users can access the resources they need. In contrast, unauthorized access attempts are effectively blocked.